It was supposed to be just another late night for wealthy businessman Richard Coleman. He was the kind of man who worked until the city lights blurred into dawn, rarely home before his young son was already asleep. But on this particular evening, a canceled meeting in New York City sent him driving back to his mansion in Connecticut earlier than usual. He didn't call ahead, didn't tell anyone. He thought he'd surprise his wife, or maybe just finally catch a glimpse of his son before bedtime. What he didn't expect was to walk through his own front door and see a sight that would change his life forever. In the middle of the grand living room, kneeling on the polished hardwood floor, was Emily Rivera, the 28-year-old housekeeper. But it wasn't the cleaning rag in her hand that froze Richard where he stood. It was the little boy beside her. His son, Ethan, just 4 years old, balancing on his small purple crutches, was bent over trying to wipe up spilled juice with his own rag. His blonde hair flopped into his eyes as he stretched his arm with effort. "Look, Miss Emily, I can help right here," Ethan said proudly, wobbling as he pressed the rag against the floor. Emily looked up, smiling softly. "You've already done so much, Ethan. How about you sit on the couch and let me finish?" But Ethan shook his head stubbornly. "You always say we're a team. Teams don't quit." Richard's breath caught. He couldn't remember the last time he'd heard his son so happy, so determined. Before Richard could step forward, Ethan spotted him. His little face lit up, though Richard also saw a flicker of fear. "Dad, you're home early." He almost lost his balance turning too quickly. Emily dropped her rag, rushing to steady him. Richard stepped closer, trying to process. His son, the housekeeper, crutches, smiles, teamwork, things he hadn't seen under his own roof in a long, long time. He crouched down. "Ethan, what are you doing?" "I'm helping Miss Emily. And guess what, Dad? Today I stood on my own for almost 5 minutes. His eyes sparkled with pride. Richard blinked. 5 minutes? How is that possible? Ethan grinned. "Miss Emily teaches me exercises every day. She says if I practice a lot, one day I'll run like other kids." Richard turned to Emily, who looked nervous, wringing her hands. "Exercises?" "Yes, sir," she admitted softly. "During my lunch break, sometimes after work. I just wanted to help." Richard frowned. "But you're not paid for that." "I'm not asking for anything," she said quickly. "I do it because Ethan deserves to smile. A child should smile every day." Those words pierced Richard like a knife. When was the last time he'd seen his son smile like this? Later that night, after Ethan went upstairs, Richard sat with Emily in the quiet living room. He noticed for the first time her tired hands, the stains on her knees from scrubbing floors. "How long have you been doing these exercises?" he asked. "Since I started here 6 months ago," she said carefully. "I learned them from caring for my younger brother. He was born with leg problems too. I spent my childhood taking him to therapy, helping him walk. When I saw Ethan, I couldn't just do nothing." Richard leaned back, guilt pressing against his chest. This woman, who took 2 buses to work each day and still supported her family, was giving his son the kind of hope he hadn't. The next morning, Richard did something he hadn't done in years. He canceled his meetings, slipped on casual clothes, and sat on the grass in the garden to watch Ethan's morning exercises. "Dad, are you really staying?" Ethan asked, wide-eyed. "I wouldn't miss it," Richard said, surprising himself with how much he meant it. Emily guided Ethan through stretches, balance drills, and strength exercises. Richard watched, heart in his throat, as his son let go of his crutches and stood, shaking, straining, but standing. 15 seconds, 20, 30. Emily counted. "I did it," Ethan cried, collapsing into his father's arms. Richard hugged him tightly. "You're incredible, son. I'm so proud of you." Ethan's words came out in a whisper. "Now you understand why I love Miss Emily. She believes in me." Richard met Emily's gaze. For the first time, he realized she wasn't just an employee, she was the reason his son hadn't given up. Weeks turned into months. Richard shifted his priorities. He attended Ethan's exercises every morning, watched his boy take his first steps without crutches, and even laughed more with his wife, Caroline, who had nearly given up on him. One afternoon, Ethan ran across the grass, truly ran for the first time. "Dad." "Miss Emily." "I did it." His crutches lay forgotten in the corner. Richard and Emily both had tears in their eyes as they embraced him. That night, Richard made a decision. "Emily, I don't want you scrubbing floors anymore. I want you to be Ethan's official therapy companion. I'll pay for you to study, get certified, and follow your dream." Her eyes widened. "Sir, that's impossible. I can't afford school." "You can now," Richard said firmly. "This isn't charity. You've given my family a second chance. The least I can do is give you one too. Years later, Emily graduated as a licensed pediatric physical therapist. With Richard's support, she opened a children's therapy center, a bright, colorful place where kids with special needs found hope and encouragement. At the ribbon cutting, Ethan, now running like any other child, stood proudly at her side. "This is Emily," he told the crowd. "She's not just my teacher. She's my family. She believed in me when no one else did. And she taught me that I can do anything." Richard and Caroline watched with tears in their eyes. Their son had not only learned to walk, he had learned to believe. And it all started because one young woman with an apron and a heart full of love refused to give up. Sometimes, the most important people in our lives don't arrive with titles or wealth. They arrive quietly with kindness and courage and end up transforming everything.